All right. I kind of, well, actually, I didn't screw up anything. The computer did it. Obviously, it put me down to go live at 5 o'clock Paul's time. I don't know what happened. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm back here today with Paul Knight, Black Sheep Researcher. Okay, before we get started, I have to vent a little bit. And Paulie knows that this has been like really, really difficult for me.
Definitely.
To get right. All right. To get into this topic so fast. It hit us both the other day at the same time. And we have this weird synchronicity, me and him, and we'll text each other. I was just thinking the same thing, whatever. And the best way that I could say it is a download, even though I hate using that. Everything was just coming to us really, really quickly. And we were comparing notes. And I had a hard time deciding whether I wanted to do this video or not, because it's putting so much out there so fast. That with me on my channel, I like to do baby steps, but Paulie's like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to throw it out there, leave it alone, walk away. We're going to do it. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know, but he's going to break it down. We're going to break it down the best we can. All right. And don't mind the faces I make, because like I said, for me, this is overload. It's way too much, too fast. But Paulie, I'm going to let you take it away. Introduce yourself and everything that you know.
I'm froze. Yeah. So what it is, I was basically starting a video. If you remember the last video I did with Gloria, I was talking about I want to do something on heaven and hell. Basically, talk about how it was in us and different things. And we just got talking. I was saying something to Gloria, and frequency came up. Because we are big advocates. You've seen a lot of anyone's in the chat. There's Derek, right, Derek? But as you can see, we was big advocates for the laws of frequency and vibration. You've heard us say it so many times in all of our videos, and we just got to brainstorming like we do, and we just backwards and forwards, and we pinging information, throwing it out, bouncing it back, and it was making something. And it's when you get to that point is when something clicks, you get the chills. And it was a case of, do we come out with this? Because obviously when we're brainstorming, we can understand what we're going on about because we know each other that well. But it's hard to put these thoughts that we have into perspective for other people, like an analogy to understand. And that's the case of why we're going to do this. Gloria and us wasn't sure whether we would do it. And I thought, nah, do it. If we're going to go out, let's go out swinging. You know what I mean? Even if it goes or it gets cut off, you know why. And what we will try to get out with, not just this video, because we might be doing more in regard to this, because it's just too much information. Maybe it's too much. It was giving us headaches thinking about what does this mean? Where can this go with this? And this is just it. So we was just talking, what are we as an entity, a soul, a spirit, vibration, frequencies, heaven and hell? And in this video or the upcoming series, whatever how many we do, we will try and break it down. In our opinion, Gloria is one of that she'll say it's fact now, because it just resonates with her so much. You don't argue with Gloria. Whereas I try to be diplomatic. Do you know what I mean? And she says, no, I'm going to say it's fact. That's how highly she rates what we've been talking about and researching it as a topic. And it's basically about everything. Because if you think about it, even mainstream indoctrinated science says frequency, vibration is law. Tesla would say that. All other scientists say that. So this is our standpoint that we've always gone off with to describe on what model or different things we actually live in, because people are arguing, fighting, losing the core essence of being a good person over what shape this realm actually is. And we was under the point was, well, it's just a frequency, it's a vibration. So it's everything that you were saying, every person's, because of it's vibrating. And some things just did not sit with us in regard to it being frequency and vibration. For instance, a little analogy before we go into it deep. We all know cymatics on how that uses sound hitting the medium, which is the sand or water, and it produces patterns. They're all like snowflake patterns, circles. They're all generally the same generic type of shapes, slightly different because of, but not really general. So if you think about it, if we vibrated as a person, or the car is vibrating that you driving, your table vibrates, because they say everything vibrates. Why can't they put a sound into cymatics and produce a table, or a human, or a dog, or a bird? Why is it that set patterns? You know, because they only are different, but they're not way different. So that's where we basically started on this journey, and this is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Is just our thoughts going backwards and forwards, and hopefully people can think, yeah, we can understand that.
Now, yeah, this is heavy. This is really heavy. Now, for those of you that watch my video, the way I always explain a frequency, and I've said this a million times, and especially those who experience OBEs, right, near-death experiences, like the way I explain it, when I explain a frequency, I say it's a frequency, but it's not. It's a line, and I give you the image of a line so you have something to see, something to you know what I'm saying? I can't just say frequency is nothing, because I need to give you something visual so you understand the jumping of timelines. I have a very difficult time. Like I've said before, I said, you know, when I had an OBE, you know, and all that other stuff, in order for me to get back, and I've said it many times, I needed to listen to the sound to get back here, but the sound was no sound. And that for me drove me crazy, because it wasn't a sound, it was nothing, but yet the way I describe it is a sound, and the way I describe it, or Paul describes it, is a frequency, because there is no other words in the human language to explain what we're trying to say, other than it's nothing. It's not a sound. A vibration, the way I say, is a line, and the line is nothing. Now, Paul, elaborate on that, because go.
No.
Please.
No, it's right. What we basically was talking about, different things going back to, it's, as I just mentioned before, we as a solid, we are solid, we can feel it, but that's just a signal supposedly that we're given from our brain to our hands and sense, basically nerves saying we are solid. But at the molecular level, we are supposed to be vibrating like this, and everything is supposed to be vibrating like this. So what is the actual true picture? What are we actually seeing around us if everything is vibrating? And then they will talk about different things. For instance, if you got hit by a car, why don't the car pass through you? Well, it's a solid. And then they'll talk about something scientific and all this. Well, because of the atoms and they've bonded it, it became solid. Well, we're solid. I hate to break it down for you people who believe in frequency. I've been here. You see how many videos me and Gloria's talks about it. But if you think about it this way, we are solid. It's like this cell that's in our body. You know, we are a cell. We are a prison for the thought that's inside us. Our consciousness, our soul. You can call it many things, but you could call it, like I made an analogy in me writing in my notes. I was talking about how it's like a prison cell, but it's a cell, and we have cells inside us too. So it just rings true that this, whatever's happening, we are not vibrating like they say it is, because it just does not make sense on the grand scheme of things. We are solid.
No, it doesn't make sense, because first of all, if an atom down to the smallest plank is 99.9% empty space, but yet atoms form an electrical field around themselves and bond themselves to make things solid. What the fuck is the purpose of an atom being empty if it's none of it makes sense, guys. You gotta listen, because what we're saying is true. So that's bullshit. It is solid. We are solid. Okay, I understand that life is an illusion and all that stuff. That doesn't change all that. But for the most part, the whole thing with frequency, the whole things with atoms being empty space and nothing is solid, is not true. I wanted to go slowly on that. Go ahead, go.
Like, I've done so many notes on it, so if I look down, just pardon me, because we've just got it everywhere. Now, if you think about it, we have cells. So as I was just saying, I was trying to make a reference to some, you know, an analogy that we could understand together. I was describing our bodies as like a prison type of thing, and holding our consciousness, our soul together. And then when you think about it, well, what do you call the prison? The individual where you say it's a cell. Well, you have cells in your body that do the same thing. I mean, you have 4 cells. You need, what is a cell? All cells must have the following, and it needs 4 things to be created. 4. Well, if you know your numbers, 4 is God plus us. So that's the Trinity plus us is 4. So even the cells come down to holy numbers that we all know and have researched. And if you just look, breaking down really scientific type of thing, is we have a cell membrane, a double layer of, it's like festivals, and they regulate what comes in and out of the cell. Doesn't that sound like a prison guard? And then you have like, it's organelles, and there's tiny structures within the cell that basically serve a specific function. So that is like the inmates in cells. So the other cells are like inmates. So we was just trying to find analogies of how cells in our body act and behave. And then you have another one that is cytoplasm, and that's like the jelly that's material inside the cell where the organs and everything is located. Well, that sounds like the jail itself. And then the last one is nucleic acid. Must have DNA to control cell activities to code. So that basically in charge of everything. Sounds like the governor or the warden. So, and that comes to number 4. So our cells in our body are acting like a prison type of thing, is on how it regulates and works. So even the word cell sounds like prison. So that is what's keeping us all together. Because if you think about it, I used to always say we are vibrating, and we are a vessel to the soul. And we are vibrating. Even the table or an inanimate object in front of you, according to science, is still vibrating, but it's dead. So the energy is slower. And you've heard me say it in my videos so many times, the energy is getting slower, but it's not, it's solid. And you can say, well, that's an illusion. We're touching it in our brain signals. It's not. Everything that we know is information. So it's a thought. So when we were talking about creation, how, if it's not vibration and frequency, what is it? And this is where me and Gloria then started talking about, well, everything is a thought. If you think about it, how, according to biblical, scripture, did we get created? God spoke and created. And you'll say, well, that's frequency, that's voice. But he thought first. What did he do? You don't just speak. You actually think of what you're going to say before you speak. That split second, you will say, well, I'm just talking now. Well, you had to think of the word before you said it. So thought came first. We are thoughts. Now, I'll let Gloria have a little bit before I carry on.
No. All right. I have mentioned before that everything is created through thought. And one of the things that I shared with my viewers in one of my videos is that when I had this experience, I asked the question, like I said, as a soul, okay, when you're back to where you come from, you don't know anything about this planet. You don't know who you are. You know absolutely nothing, okay? I was a part of everything and nothing, because there was nothing there. So that's hard to explain. When I had communication with, I call God, because to me, that's who he was. Although he wasn't a form, it was a knowing around me, an existence, a knowing that there was something there. And I communicated. And what I asked was, how did I come into being? And in a woman's voice, she said, you're a thought in his mind. So basically, I smiled at that time, and I understood that everything was created through a thought. And the next thing you know, I'm going through this void, and I'm told to listen, but the word wasn't listen. That's where we get all screwed up, to listen to a certain sound. And when I did, my own self said, you have to listen deeper, because you're not there yet. You're not there yet. You're not back yet. And then another voice, which was another person, which was my voice, said deeper. And then that's when I felt the sun come in my room, and the heat, and I knew I was back in my body, and I jumped in. When I was going through that void, I had no idea where I was going. no clue about any of this. But like I said, I understood that everything that he creates, which is the one, he is everything. Everything that he creates just kind of, he lets his creation go out into existence, and it creates itself, and it goes and creates itself. That's how I understood it. So everything is a thought.
So we're all treading lightly. Hey, Gloria is so pumped up. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. But you have to think about what we're talking about. We're talking about rewriting everything, even though it's just our humble opinion and research. How this defines and
your humble opinion and research. Okay, and if I'm telling you this shouldn't go so fast, but you know what? We're there, and just like you said, let's just do it. And I'm like, all right, instead of making 500 videos, let's just do it. We're doing it.
I mean, first of all, do you want to say hello to the chat? You know, I mean, there's people in there.
If you can, because
yeah, you got hello to Julie Nugent. She's in there. Obviously, you got yourself, myself, the Black Sheep Researcher, Queen of Swords 444. Hello. Obviously, you got Derek. Hello, Derek. You got Gemini 79. Hello. You got Sister Sensei, whatever how you pronounce it. Hannah H. Obviously, we know Hannah H. Major Face Palm. Hello. Mark Cooper, obviously we know Mark, and Galweg, we know Galweg, and Karen and Preston is just turned in, and then you have Diana Odman. So hello and welcome to what we're actually going to come out with today. Hopefully you will enjoy it and understand. Well, my trepidation, not actually Gloria's, because you know Gloria just goes, you know what I mean. Even though she didn't really want to do it just yet, and I thought let's just get it out there because. This is big, because if you do research or look into anything that's really, really deep, you always say the world's created in its frequency and vibration, but it can't be. Like we just said, we just use them basic analogies. And listen, we might leave stuff out, but it's an ongoing video. We're not going to try and cram everything into today's video, but it's deep. I mean, you're talking about everything just changing how people perceive on this thing. We are solid. We are experienced. We are a creation through God's thought. Now, what are we talking about? He made us, or is our soul that's inside us the thought, the consciousness, a part of God, the God man? Because I've always said, even before we've talking to this, when people say we are made in His image, I always said, well, it's not the physical body, it's the inside, it's the soul. Which, because it was His thought. Now, I've always said that, and it's just a tricky thing. We knew to doing this topic, we had so many things going on. We're like, oh my God, will people understand the message we're actually trying to get? Whereas, if you think about it, they told us everything is a vibration or a frequency, and we're saying no, it's solid. I mean, in us, we're solid.
This basically. Although everything is an illusion and this is just an experience, this is a real place. Whatever real is, it exists. This place exists, and it is solid. It does exist. And when you're not here and you're in the dream state, whether you're in a different place, having a different experience, whatever, your body is still here, solid. Yeah. That's a hard pill. I mean, we can get into, being the thought of God's mind and stuff like that. And a lot of people already know that. But we're going to get deeper in. And guys, we're not going to be able to do this in one video. We have another guest coming on with us next week to discuss it. And, he's like brainstorm just like us. And then we're probably going to have somebody else. Come on. It's a lot. And it's going to be a lot to take in. But we're going to touch on as much as we can without having you guys want to jump off a small building to try to comprehend it, because it makes you stop and go, what the fuck? I mean, here we are, like we always thought they lied. We always thought they lied us. And then, people come up with this vibrational frequency thing and, hey, you know what? The Tesla was right and blah, 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 blah. And then that gets thrown a monkey wrench in it. And you're going, oh my God, that was all a lie too. And now when you figure out all it is shit, and you go, even that was a lie. Well, that explains why manifestation doesn't work no matter how hard you try. That explains why it just goes on. And hear us out. hear us out. All right. And like I said, this is going to be one part series. It's going to be many parts to this. So go ahead, Paulie.
Yeah, because we've, like I said, how many people you've talked to and they said they've manifest? Well, there's no way you proving to us that you've manifested something in front of you. Could you manifest good energy or positive energy? Yeah, definitely, because we're energy.
We're energy.
But it's a case of, if, for instance, people are really, really poor on something they're not fed, but they're really good at meditation. Could they manifest a 3-course meal in front of them? You can't, because we're not in what we thought the realm we was of that is possible. We are solid. Now, if we come to the table and said to people, and they appreciate just how, yeah, we're here. This is, I don't know how many goes we get, like an experience or reincarnation, but we're solid now. The soul inside us, the part of God, is, well, that's what we'll get down to in other videos. But you think about it, everything is information. Even the information, the knowledge that they always hide, they have hid in Vatican. What is this knowledge? We always strive for knowledge. It's like the budding, you can call us budding scientists, budding explorers, whatever different types of topics and things that you look into. We're always striving for the next something, the next something, the next something, because it's how we evolve. Do you know what I mean? When you learn something new, you've evolved because you've took on more information. Now, they will talk about, and this is what me and Gloria was talking about, and I was going to try and show you on the whiteboard, but me actually pen just ran out, so I can't actually. So I'll try and talk through that. Is they say everything is binary, you know, 1 zeros, 1s and 2s, and different things. Well, we want to take that a step further. You think about if thoughts, you've people who don't know me, you know, I've made videos on Mandela effect, being thought bubbles, thought waves, and different things like this. On everything is predetermined. It's already filmed, like a video or something, whatever you want to call it. That's just an analogy that we're using. So everything is filmed. Every possibility is filmed. Everything from you drinking out of a cup is all done, and it's stored somewhere. People call it the Akashic records. That is just a name, a title that was given to it. But everything is stored. Now, how would you access all these thoughts, all this information? How would you do it? Well, we've come up with an idea that it's like a barcode, something like that, because every information would have a binary. So it'd have the ones, and whatever, and it's stored. That thought, that idea of you talking now is stored away in the Akashic records, and it's kept in like basically, you can call it a library. So when you go to the library, you ask for a book, and they'll say, "Have you got the number or something?" You'll go, "Yeah, it's 1116," and basically they can take you straight to the book or whatever, a filing system. Picture it like a library, a filing system. So every thought, every video, or whatever you want to call it, is stored away. It's all binary code. So when you need that memory, you have like the CPU, like Gloria talks about, the main system here that would regulate a matching type of number. And talk about deja vu and Mandela effects. It could be the case of you just getting information stored.
Information.
Someone else or something else of experience, because even the past is being filmed and kept. The present is filmed and kept. The future is filmed and kept. For everyone. So you're accessing information before you, as a learner and experience, get the information downloaded, because you have, like, basically, you could even call it a hack the system in a way. If people could be the case of the connection, their tuning fork that we're talking about in the head, the why, basically could ping with energy at a certain, and we even say frequency still, because we have no words of saying
words, right?
So it's hard, but just imagine you going into a library, one of the biggest libraries ever, and all the information is stored. Now, if you look into research, you know now that they are talking about water being able to hold memory. It does. I've done videos on it. It's showed it. It's not a new thing. It's not me making it up. They've showed the next big thing is water and memory. Fluid around us, the gas is a liquid, is a water. Everywhere, we're even water. So it's easily kept all around us, because it's just basically a coding system.
Right. That deciphers. Wow, this is so deja vu right now. Holy cow. Yeah. That part of the brain. And we have more than, okay, we have the left hemisphere, the right hemisphere, the why, right? But memory is not stored in the brain. We know that. It's not stored in the brain. Our CPU deciphers the binary, which, Paul, we will touch on binary because that's the only word that we could use right now.
Yeah.
0, 1, 2, 3. We'll leave it at that. Okay, we'll leave it at binary. So that part of the brain decodes that binary, and that's how we get, that's how we see the things we see. That's how psychic people, that do readings are able to tap into that binary system of information, right? Find out about that person and blah, 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 blah. So memory is not stored in the brain. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to get that out there.
No, so that was like one of my series I did a long time ago. That memory is stored in the water around us because of its structure, because it can hold the shape. But then you take it a bit forward. Is it actual thought that's holding it, or is it forming what we just said, the binary, the information, the number, the coding system? Could it be kept somewhere else? Then we talk about, well, what is this veil that we all talk about? Now, I'll take that step further. We are the veil. It is us. It's breaking down because we are.
I can't.
As a consciousness, as a consciousness, we are evolving. We are able to take on more information quicker because we are learning more. You just see it now. How many people are into spiritualism or any type of well, see, I don't even like to use names and titles, but we can see it now through social media. People are more aware of the surroundings, what they perceive, because it's the time. You can call it a golden age. You can call it just, but are we ready? Because everyone is talking about Mandela. Everyone's talking about what shape the earth is. Everyone is talking about the catchy records. Everyone's talking about things that just years ago or months, people did not feel comfortable saying it out loud. Obviously, you will get the odd one person. It's always an exception. But I'm not talking as as a movement as a whole. People didn't come out the shells like they did now on anything, basically. Not the same as it is now. People can talk about things that you, even last week or last year, you would go, oh my God, you're nuts. Do you know what I mean? Even me, some of the things I've come up with. But as you learn more information, you have to use what information you get to form a book, an idea, or something that is easily decoded for you. Now, it could be the case of the tuning fork or the CPU is slightly different in all people. That is what makes the learning experience different. We would have the same type of software. Someone will have an updated version, some will have it older. Do you know what I mean? But it's a case of we are here to learn. We are, God made us to learn, to experience things through this realm or whatever you want to call it. And he's learning too. Do you know what I mean? It's a case of it's basically a learning experience. We don't know what is going on in this reality, but we do know now, these last few years, especially the last year, things have just gone crazy. People are seeing so many different things that you're not going to be crazy. You could say years ago when people talked about Bigfoot or different animals or events, you could say 99% are fake, but the 1% is going to be real. Now that is down. Hell of the percentage is more. Do you know what I mean? It's swayed. People are seeing things. People are experiencing things that you can't just put down to misremembering or hallucination or this. Yeah. And that is a beautiful thing. Sometimes it's a scary thing.
Yeah, so is Bigfoot. You know how I feel about Bigfoot, Paul. The whole thing with teaching us the new thing that everything is vibrational frequency and all this stuff. Paul, I don't know. Okay. People, I won't say who, what, want you to believe that, because in fact, this is solid. This experience, this reality is in its own, it's in a game of its own. It's completely different than any other reality created by the creator. Okay. the people that are here are trying to figure out a way to play with frequency, because we have people, aliens, whatever you want to call them, from different timelines, different dimensions, different wherever, that know how to manipulate and work with frequency, where they're able to time travel. They're able to do all these things, and we want to learn how to do it. We don't know how to do it. Okay, so by them telling us everything is a vibrational frequency, they're lying. They're actually trying to figure out how it works, because that's not how it works here. This is school of hard knocks right here, baby. This is it. We are having an experience that is probably one of the hardest places to be, to learn, because we're not as we're more structured. It's more limitations beyond, but they're trying to figure this out. Have they fucked around with certain things that are hindering our process? It's a possibility. I don't know. Is this God waking us up? We could speculate on anything right now, but the truth is, this is a place, whether you want to believe it or not. Your whole life is an illusion. Absolutely. Everything is. But you're still having this experience, and you're still solid. You're solid.
Oh, God, it's like, should we go back and just delete all our videos? No frequency, no vibration.
But it's true.
Because like we just said at the beginning, if you think about it, if, for instance, if we was a frequency that they could manipulate and use, what would the case of be? Why does this body age? And you could call it, well, the energy inside is getting old and it's slowing down the bash. But you know what I mean? This is a cell. This is a prison. So it could be a case of its time served.
But well, they even go as far as saying bullshit. And I'm sorry, guys, but I'm going to tell you, they even go as far as saying bullshit is, oh, go listen to 432 hertz because it's a DNA repair. No, it's not. Oh, so-and-so back in the 1800s made a hospital and put all these people in there, and he cured 250 people of cancer because he put a frequency wave going through the radio and it cured their cancer. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. If that was the case, people doing it now every day that would never have been banned, or a secret that got out to the public. Come on, guys. Come on. No.
If you think about it now, we're talking about thought being basically what we are. How do you cure yourself? They have something that's called the placebo effect. How does that cure you? You think your thought in, you then become better. That is a power of the mind, the thought. That is what's in control. This is what we are. It's a thought inside a solid body, a vessel, a cell, whatever you want to call it. But the mind, the thought is the most powerful thing. Why do you think they indoctrinate us from an early age? Because they need to control the mind, the thought. Yeah. It's as simple as that. You control this, then you control the mind. And so, for instance, they don't want us to evolve into talking things like this.
Our thoughts are connected to the Creator's thoughts. Yep. Everything that we do, everything that we feel, He feels. Everything. That's our connection to home. That's how we know who we are, what we are. That's how we advance. That's how we evolve. If they can put a stop to that, then they're going to do it. If they want to cut us, to cut our ties off, then they're going to try to do it. And that's what they've been doing for the longest time.
Exactly.
Where some of us, it did not have an effect. Perhaps it was God saying, no, you're not going to touch this one, because this one is going to be the one that's going to speak truth, and he's going to be the one that speaks truth. I don't know. But some of us were not affected by it. Some of us get information on a daily basis, and recently Paul have. And, we went back and forth with it, because when you get the information, although, Paul, you're a way better speaker than I am. In this reality, I'm a girl from New York. I come with the accent and all the shit. I can't help it. So I'm limited, all right? But when I get the information, when Paul gets the information, we have to take some time, because now we have to, although we could see it, now we have to put it into words. And the words like duh, we don't have much, right, Paul? Because they come to us differently. But then we have to put them into the words that everybody would understand here. And even I would understand how to
think of it this way. We don't know the age of the planet, the realm, whatever we are. We don't know age of nothing because everything is a lie. Everyone can accept and go, yeah, we know this now. We can see this now. But did the ancient us probably didn't need to talk? They used to thought the mind. And now they brought in a verbal type of an existence to get you away from using this, using the power of the mind, and back to the spell of using this because it's a spell. And we talked about the spell. Yeah, but this is a spell because they don't want to use our mind. They hide words in these spells. Because basically, at a point, I believe we all talked. You can call it telepathically or whatever you want to know, because we didn't need to talk, basically, because we had this. We had the God thoughts, whatever you want to call it. And we've digressed. Do you know what I mean? They've brought us down. Now, why have they keep bringing us down? Well, I've talked about this many a time in my videos. If you want to hurt God, the creator, whatever you want to call him, what's the best way? Is to hurt us. We are, so even in the scripture, it says we are the apple of his eye. You can believe it or not if you think we are. But if you want to hurt something, to hurt the creator, you would hurt us. Because we're connected. They all say it, even in different types of realms. Pythagoras talks about, and even everyone does now in different movements, as above, so below. And they said, whatever happens up there happens down here, and it's vice versa. So if you are corrupting the things down here, you are corrupting and the things up there.
Everywhere.
Yeah. That is why they're keeping us wanting not to talk to people, because obviously they don't want us, you know what I mean? Because we talked about it before, haven't we, like love and thing. I talk about actually being forces because it's infectious. Now you have to watch what we say, because we're saying, oh, there's no such thing as that. It's an energy. Do you know what I mean? We can say it's an energy. Love, hate are energies because they have effects on things. You've seen the experiments. So keeping us negative, keeping us not wanting to talk to people who we're close to is a negative thing. And, you know, even I've done it. I've not talked to people who I care about, and that is just me being stupid. But these things, if you think about it, if now we are like a solid type of thing, you might then look and perceive and take care of yourself more. Because, you know what I mean, it's experienced this. If more and more people took care of this, and obviously that would help God as well, because we're all connected. And it's not the case of just being religious or anything like that. We need to get back to how the ancients and like ancient people of respect, love, and away from the fighting and the negativity, because it has an effect on the forces. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I talked about in many a video of the veil thinning. Well, if we talk about the veil as what is the veil, and the last video or 2 videos ago that I did, I even talked about how that could be in between all the atoms and the cells, keeping everything together. But if you think about it, if it's there in us, we are also the veil. And people are looking for the veil as a mystical thing, when I've even found the name for it, and it's Elvi, it's the magical, it's the God force. So we're not humans, are not obviously just God men or whatever you want to pronounce it. We're also the veil. We are controlling the information that flow to us, because everything is information. So if the information is all around us, wouldn't we be like, you know, like a gauze type? You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, human body is waterproof to an extent, but you do absorb things around you. So not only absorbing all the shit that's in the air, you are also absorbing information. So that is another way of how they are diluting through chemtrails, through vaccine, everything. They are polluting the information around us.
Right.
Because once we get it inside us, then we are then passing it on to the creator.
Well, if you look at it, how brilliant is the human body, Paul? I mean, what are we made up of? 250 trillion cells, and each cell is like its own little human. I mean, it's got a spine, it's got, I guess, a little brain, it's got antennas coming out of it. You know, each little hair on our arm is an antenna. So we are this tremendous antenna conductor antenna. Sure. And, you know, a lot of people think with the chemtrails and stuff like that, oh, they're poisoning us. I don't know what's in there. I don't really care what's in that stuff that they're putting in, but they're not trying to kill us because their own children and grandchildren are breathing in the same air. So it's not that. If anything, they're trying to somehow disconnect our connection. The way they're doing it, you know, or whatever, you know, we don't really know. Some people speculate, oh, it's this, it's aluminum, it's blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. I don't care, but they're trying to sever our connection, you know, and I'm not, and the fact that we're here and we're having the experience doesn't mean that there's not going to be good and bad, because you do have the duality. But holy shit, man, when the bad is over here and the good is over here and we're like crawling on the floor, like mercy, something's not right. Something is not right. It should be dual, and it's not. It's not. I mean, I tell in my videos, Paul, for people to inspire them, to give them hope. It is going to get better. It is going to get better. But a lot of times when I stop filming, you know, I go lay down and go, holy shit, these people have to hold on. I have to hold on. Me, myself, at times don't want to. How do I help these people to hold on? Because we're getting pushed and pulled and pushed and pulled, and something is going on. Somebody's trying to change something, and somebody's saying, no, leave it alone. Somebody's trying to, you know what I'm saying? So we're feeling the effects mentally, physically, and everything. And it's hard. And I look at the world as a beautiful place. I look at everything. It's just beautiful. And you know me, Paulie, I don't get angry. I usually don't get angry. It takes a lot for me, but I do feel the pain, you know, that the world when people reach out and they tell me the saddest things I've ever heard, and I'm affected by those things, because the world, it shouldn't be this bad.
No,
it's supposed to be, you know.
Well, it's, if I'm just trying to think of something that I could tell people on what it is like. Now, picture you having a book in front of you, and it's full, and it's all information. We need the story to progress. Basically, you read one page and then you turn over. But what happens through why they're keeping us negative and everything around us, why they're attacking us, basically they're ripping a page out and throwing it away. Now you can't progress. You're missing that information that you would have read on that page. Where's it gone? They're taking it away. So if you then start ripping pages out and you've not read it, you won't be able to read the book. You won't be able to progress the information. Now, what they're doing to us, for instance, they're keeping us from talking to certain people and this, and this, because the information, when you get, maybe I've got one piece of the page, half the page, and the other person who I'm not talking to, or this person or that person, they got the other part. You put it together, then you can turn the page.
And this is
all information. And
you know what, Paulie, it's not even on the research part, but
no, it's just on in life in general. You can't progress to anything. You can't. It is things like you said. It's all pre-recorded and done. So if they are, we don't know if they are, because we just don't know anything. But if they're tampering,
right,
or affecting the barcode, the information, things are not progressing. People are not learning. The experience has been hampered. Now, we don't know what's going on. If, like I said, some people believe CERN's doing something on this and this. Sometimes people give them too much credit. Sometimes people don't give them enough credit. We just don't know what's going on. I mean, we had a theory, which we'll talking about in a minute, about, you know, the past, the future, and the present. Remember when I was talking about, you was like, whoa, type of thing is, and we'll get to that, but we'll just let you talk, because it looks like you're ready to.
No, but we're being pushed and pulled. It's just a feeling that you feel inside of you. And you know what? For the most part, like with me and Paul, and there's several other people I know, there's a certain connection. We don't have to do any research to validate what we're feeling or anything like that. We could just sit down and start having a conversation, and it clicks. It's like, holy shit. It's like I said, it's like a download. It's given to us. So, you know, I mean, you'll get people that'll go online and you know, study frequency and study Nikola Tesla and what did Einstein think of the theory of whatever. When it comes to you and only you, and something clicks, and then you share it with somebody who's in that same kind of energy field as you are, and they go, holy shit, I was just thinking the same thing, but what about this and what about that? And all the pieces come together. You're like, wow, now this is a totally different ball game. Although we are talking about something, we are bringing up some things that people already know because
definitely.
People debunking shit like that. But this is getting down to the ditty gritty titty.
Did you say titties then?
I did say titties. Yes, I did. I said titties. But it's deep shit. And as much, look, if anything, and I'm not going to say that we chose to come here because, like I said, I do not know that when I was there was no choice because I did not know here existed. There it didn't exist. Here it didn't exist. For whatever reason, I am here. It wasn't supposed to be this hard. The hardest thing about either agreeing to come here or being told that you have to come here is the simple fact that there are limitations. You are solid. Everything around you is solid. When things fall to shit, they fall to shit. Are you able to manifest things? Yes, you are, but it goes only through a thought and not repetitive thinking. It's things that you want more of, things you don't want more of anymore. Throughout your life, those thoughts get stored. And eventually the manifestation process starts on its own. And these things that you always wanted in your life, and I don't mean a motorcycle to grow up big titties. I mean, things that you want to manifest in your life start to show themselves without you having to do anything. I spoke about this before. That's how the manifestation process starts. But like I said, the biggest thing was, hey, are you ready to come here? Because you're not going to be able to fly. You're not going to be able to walk into walls. If you get cut, it's going to hurt like hell. You're going to experience broken hearts. You're going to experience, and here we are. That should have been it, the hardest thing. Not the fact that we're trying to evolve from this and we're being sucked back, evolve and being sucked back. And from what I understand, kind of like a 50-50, the creator, once he creates through a thought, he really doesn't get involved with his creation. He kind of just lets them go and everybody will figure it out because in the end, it really doesn't matter when you go back home. So it's not that big of a deal. Nobody's really getting hurt and nobody's getting killed. In the reality they are, but when they're gone, they're not. So he just kind of lets his thoughts go and they just go on and create themselves.
I'll lay something on you now. I'll just talk about things. If you think about it, it talks about how God gave us free will. You know what I mean? I know. See, and this is what we were talking about as well as before. Is it actual free will or is it the illusion of free will? Because it'd have to be the illusion of free will because of how everything is predetermined, how everything is recorded. Now it's how you access them memories, them thoughts. But here's another one for you. Maybe we can add on this again if the guests that you're talking about want to come on, because I know one of them has talked about this before, and that is the fact of, like AI type of thing is what is an AI? Is that human if it thinks as it thoughts? And mainly people think if they could think for their own, that would class as an existence. But this is what the question I wanted to ask you. What is your idea? Because I've just thought about this then as we're talking. I've not even mentioned this to you before because it only just came to me now. If we all know all the thoughts, everything is recorded, right? And it's stored. You can either call it the ether, you can either call it the Akachi records, you can call it God source, whatever is easy for you. But if that is a thought and an action, and we are actually there in that recording, surely a piece of our soul or us are in that thought also. So are they living? Or is that just the thought, the time stamp of that event, or are they pre-existing on their own in that reality, in that thought?
Let me see if I can answer this correctly.
Did it make sense? Firstly,
kind of. If I don't make sense, then I didn't understand correctly. So the way I look at it is the things that are, we're going to say the Akashi records, right? The things that are in the Akashi records, the binary, the code that's out there. To me, the way I understood it, it's kind of like frozen information. And each one of these slots of information have a binary code, which our brain knows where to go to pick that binary information out and get the answer to certain things. But for the most part, they're frozen. Did I answer that? Yeah. It's not going on. It's not a past. It's not a future. Even all happening now. No, it's frozen. It's basically frozen. I hope that makes sense. And I hope I understood what you said.
Yeah, like I said, that I was just asking that question because if we're talking about the power of thought being what we actually all are, thoughts, maybe that is why, for instance, people get so triggered because obviously they get indoctrinated, which is affecting the mind, the thoughts is, well, this is flat, this is a globe, this is concave. It can be all of the above if it's a thought, and that is why people see evidence for all these things. I mean, I might be wrong on that, but that would just be a simplified version for me. But yeah, I was wondering because if you just said it was frozen, that did make sense in a sense of it's just stored, ready to be pre-edited into. Basically, if you schedule it, basically, if we access, you might even not go for that thought because you will have you in all the events, all basically spread out, and you're basically going to access something. So maybe sometimes you access something else that is not in your time to do. May it be purely by accident. This could be the Mandela effect. This could be deja vu. You've got whatever's happening before you actually should. And I have a lot of deja vu daily. So I'm accessing this pre-recording seconds before I should have it. And I've talked about how it could be the case of I'm downloading it quicker. It could be the case of the tuning fork is picking up a better energy.
Well, your brain never shuts off. So your brain is that computer, and it's always behind that keyboard. That it's always doing its shit. So that's how like intuitive people, how we do it is kind of like the same thing. It's like we look at the person as an energy field, right? A binary, we'll say a binary, and then go into those records, look at those slots and go, okay, that's binary 100-123. And I'm going to pull that out. And that's so-and-so. And this is what so-and-so did. And this is what so-and-so looked like. And then put that right back in that slot. Information never gets destroyed. It's always there. We just have access to it through the brain. Some of us can do it. Some of us can't. But that's how intuitive people do it. And people say, well, how do you look and determine like somebody's future? Like I said, okay, everything is there. Everything is there because everything is predetermined. Now, everything is predetermined. So it's not like the past is still happening and the future is still happening and everything is happening now. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's all just there. It's just there. And as we change the chapter through a couple of the free will chances that we get, and I explained that before, when a chapter is closed, we get a free will, ticket. Then our brains will connect to that binary where the next chapter opens up, because every possible decision that we could make is already a binary book. Do you understand? So our brain will just tap into that one. Okay, we met this person. We did this. The chapter is over. Do you want to stay with that person? You want to leave? This is your free will moment. Okay, I want to leave. Okay, you leave. Now you go to that binary book and you take out that book, and then you're experiencing that. And you're like, this time, that person came back. Everything is predetermined. Everybody comes into your life. Everything happens right down to the time that you take a shit in the morning. I'm sorry. Then you make that decision. There is a decision, and you will know, because just like some people go, oh, I should have never made that decision. What made me do that? That's so out of character for me. I would never have done something like that. Right. Because you're not in control of it. You weren't, bottom line. But you were in control when that chapter was closed to say, okay, I'm going to do something different. Now you're reaching in, you can get another book, you open it up and you're starting a new chapter, but it's already there. The blueprints are already there. The characters that are going to come in. This is how it works. And I hope it makes sense, because it is so difficult to explain, but it never gets destroyed. And that's how we do it. That's what we know, what book you're going to take out. We know. How we know? I don't know. We just know. We see it. We know. We can explain it. We could tell you what's going to happen, who you're going to meet, how long it's going to last. Everything. Because we have access to knowing, just like your brain doesn't know what your mind, what your soul is going to pick 2 minutes before. You know what I'm saying? So we actually know what you're going to pick before you actually pick it. Does that make sense?
I talk about the same type of thing, just slightly different. I talk about the why. Now, even if predetermined, you still have they still give you the choice. Even though it's predetermined, you can still have a choice. Yeah. It just means everything is already done. So they know if you go left or right and what will happen all down that path. That's recorded. And even if you choose left, it's still pre-recorded, but it's the illusion that you have free will. Everything is there. And this is why the ancients talk about the why. And this is why I did the video on the why, because people don't even know what the why is. Pythagoras talks about it. Now, here is a guy who is so revered by the people who we are trying to expose, yet the dude never wrote a book, ever. So how do we know he even existed? So all his knowledge is being kept on orally for a reason. Some of them, what he's talking about must be correct. He talks about the music of the spheres. He's talking about the why, the forking of the path. We even have, he talks about the why, the forking of the paths. We have a why in our head if you slice it open. I've done videos on it. So were they so advanced in them days, like everyone basically can agree on now? So you have the illusions, but it's just the why. So you come into an event now and you're thinking, what should I have for my tea? And you think, well, I have that or all of that on that. So you're taking a direction. So if you go left or right, it's still predetermined. It's still there. That thought is still indexed, catalogued, and put away for you, ready to access that. Access that memory. Whatever way you go, it's already there. Mm-hmm. It's just a form of the illusion of free will.
I want to answer Lord Frybread. Oh, that's too funny. Okay, Lord Frybread, you're on my Facebook. I want to answer his question because he says, how did he experience two of him? One in one place and one in the other place, right at the same time. Okay, the way that works is you have to understand something. You are reincarnated many, many, many times. Like we said, information is never destroyed. Everything that you've ever done is in that library, everything. Okay. So what you're doing is you're tapping into, it's the same thing with deja vu, something that you've already done. You somehow tapped into that binary where you were able to see that picture of you existing somewhere else. Does it mean that it's happening at the same time right now? No, it just means that you had access to it. That's how, once again, that's how people that are intuitive do it, that have psychic abilities. So you're kind of running into each other. You're running into another aspect of you, but that other aspect of you at this point is just information. It's just information. So you're getting a glimpse of what you did, which for the most part is just like deja vu, because it's like you're doing the same exact thing, but you're getting a glimpse of it before. So somehow you're tapping into that.
Well, I've got an idea for that. I want to run past you because this is interesting to me. I've just come up with it again. So, if it doesn't make sense, just blame my thought. There has been tale and folklore of watchers, blah, blah, blah. You can call them fallen angel, or they could be a separate, different thing. Or, like I've talked in my videos, you have the Adjustment Bureau, the guys in that. You have the people in the fringe. They are similar images, Men in Black type of thing, similar images of people who watch over the thought. Now, what if certain people amongst us, you can call it the 144,000, whatever, it's just a title, it's just a number. You talk about how everything is freezed. What happens if these certain people amongst us have the ability to unfreeze a memory at will, at thought, and can access more information than others because they have the power to unfreeze memories that are not ready to be unfrozen?
Paulie, what do you think we're going to do?
I know. Hence why people, like the guy said, he could see himself in other things because he has the ability to unfreeze that memory ahead of schedule, against plan. For instance, he took that book out early from the library. He's read it. He thought it.
If you know anything about the looking glass, it's the same thing as the looking glass, where you're able to see something that's going to. It's the same. It's unfreezing information. We just have different ways of putting it. They use a looking glass to see what the outcome is going to be of something, and we have access to our books with the binary code, where our brain automatically gets for us and says, "Hey, this is what's going to happen." It's the same shit, but like I said, every possible outcome is out there. Every possible, it's the one that, how could you put it? It's even depending on our frame of mind and where we are in ourselves, whether we're positive, whether we're negative, is going to determine which binary book we're going to pull out. Does that make sense? Because it's really hard, guys. I hope you're keeping up with me. Okay.
I mean, it's a lot, like I said, and we're just talking. Basically, these videos are just us brainstorming. I mean, if you saw the one where we were brainstorming originally about to do this, that would have been such an epic video because we were bang, bang, bang. Everything is coming back, bang, bang, bang. And we just work off each other.
Right, because now we want to say some things and break it down. Because Paulie, you know, like you wanted to go in and go out, and I'm like, no, we can't do it. We drive people off buildings. We can't. So yeah, we are trying to break it down the best that we can break it down. Now, want to get into the life and death or what?
Yeah. Come on.
Go for it. Go for it.
No, see what this originally what it was is I was talking. Well, I was talking. I was working on the video. And I had to swap videos because Gloria wants. We ended up doing this. So I was going to make a video on heaven and hell, right? Because I was talking about heaven and hell is actual in us. And I was just thinking, I don't be bored, but if you have to you can call atoms, cells, or different things, but it was in us. We have the access to heaven and hell, whether it's what I mean, in us. And I said the veil was separating that. Now, is it a case of was we living in two sides in heaven and hell? These are things what I was just talking about, and this is what I was talking to Gloria, and then we were saying we were talking about this in frequencies and different things, and we said, well, we don't believe in frequencies, so that then ended from talking about heaven and hell into what we're getting now. But it does make sense because people are talking: is there a physical hell? Is there a physical heaven? And a lot of people, and I believe it does say in some scripture like the heaven and hell is in us. I've seen a lot of quotes who people agree with that topic, that because obviously we are capable of such kindness and yet we are capable of such evil. Define evil. I mean, Gloria just might maybe have a little different opinion on is it a Satan and different things. And do you know what I mean? This is what basically we're here to talk about now and get our ideas of: is heaven and hell an actual place? Is it an actual frequency? Is it an energy? Is it a place? Is it in us? Because if you think about it, when we're looking in old folklore, they talk about how the fallen angel was sent to Tartarus. What happens if we were? And this is just what I was talking about at the time. So this is not like people's thoughts on, yeah, this is it. This is just what me and Gloria were discussing. I was saying, are we Tartarus?
Yeah. Okay. So
you know what I mean?
Let's look at let's believe the opposite of what we're told. Okay. The fallen angels, and I've said this, and I've said this for a long time. What if we are the fallen angels, but they give us such a bad name, because we're the evil ones. We're the evil ones. What if we are the fallen angels, the ones that are supposed to come and wake up and change things? As far as good and evil, angel and devil kind of thing, right? Is that what we were talking about? The angel. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people look at that in different ways. Some people look at the left hemisphere of the brain as the devil, the right hemisphere as the angel, the right and angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder. Satan is not a real person. No, he's not. Any one of us can be Satan, where if you define Satan as being a son of a bitch, just a real rotten person, that's Satan. Okay. He was basically created to scare the shit out of people. And you know what? Just like some other people in the Bible were created to scare the shit out of us. I mean, you look at the way if you read the Bible, why God doesn't want us to fear him. Jesus doesn't want him to. I don't know much about Jesus, but you read it. If you don't obey this and you don't obey that, and you're going to grow a third arm coming out of your freaking head. I mean, my God is not like that. You know what I'm saying? So evil is a man-made thing. Do we have evil in us? Of course we do. It's a duality. We have to, but to a point, Paulie, to a point. The rage that we get and the evil that we feel, that we can't turn it off when we go, this is so out of character for me. I don't know what's happening. Look at what we're dealing with in society. Look at what they're doing with us, whatever they're playing with, whatever's fucking with our minds, whatever they inject into our arms. You can go for a filling these days and you don't even know what the hell they're putting in that shit. Okay, we don't know, and it's playing with us. And being that we are solid, it does have an effect on us. It does in every way. So there is evil in that sense where people are evil. Okay, For the most part, I mean, most of us, yeah, we do have it in us. I could be the nicest person.
Well, when you talk about being solid, then that would make sense of all the stories of hybridism and you know, no, I'm not going to say DNA manipulation because some people don't believe in DNA, but you know what I mean. It's actual morphing. It's actually engineering a different type of species. Now, some people will. How are you talking about? From what I know, because like I said, I'm reading the Bible, but do you know what I mean? I research that much. And it's a case of I could be doing a video now and I'll think of an idea and bang, and I'm gone from that video and I'm working on that. My mind is basically everywhere on ideas. But what I remember is it talks about in the Genesis how there were giants and humans here before the fallen. I've actually covered that in the actual quote. If you read it, it's how you perceive it. There was giants here before the fallen came. And were we giants? Were we human? We just don't know. It's how you perceive. So it's when I talk about perspective and different things in my videos, it's how you perceive the information that you are given. So for instance, if you look at something and it's 11111, some person could look at it and it could be 1112, or you know what I mean, altering what that information looks like, even though it's the same. So perspective can change how people look at things. But it's, if you think about now, we have all these things like Tartar and different things, and how they named Tartara because it was after Tartaros, which is the Greek word for Tartarus. That came from nowhere. That's been shown to be hidden history. They've hid it. Why did they hide it? And then you've got other things that's coming to the forefront now is because it's information. Do you know what I mean? And you can believe that we came from the fallen, or we the watchers. And some people can see the workings of everything because they are descendants from the watchers who knew, basically like the Adjustment Bureau. You can call them angels or whatever you want. And some people say, well, we are not angels. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what we are because we can only work off the information that is out there through either scripture, through research. If you think about it, if I research a topic, if I give Gloria a topic to research today, and I went down the chat and I said, right, guys, you research this, you research this, I would guarantee you wouldn't come back with the same thing. Most of you will be, the core of it would be, but then you put your spin on it, just like I do in my videos. The core information is similar, but how I perceive that information is different. And right. I find different stuff. It is a mind blower to think that we are solid. And if we are solid, that changes the game. We're not, you know what I mean? And even puts less into science and different things like that, and more emphasis on, well, if we are solid, we can then be, you know, like cloned or different things and things like this.
Paulie, what about the same thing that we spoke about before? If everything is a frequency, everyone would experience the same exact thing. You know, you can have an accident and 5 people will see the accident 5 different ways. Why is that? If we all vibrate at the same frequency and everything in reality is the same frequency, then we should have all have the same experiences. Guys, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the shoe. I'm sorry. Okay. It just doesn't. There's way more to this than that.
Yeah. Because that's what we were talking about the cymatics at the beginning. If we had a frequency self, surely it would be a case of just putting a box up to us and manipulating the cells in our body, the energy, to basically keep young and keep using that frequency up permanently.
Right. If they could post on the internet, okay, a human being, their body vibrates, I'm just going to throw a number, at 5 hertz in the morning time and 10 hertz at night. Dude, duplicate it. Let's make a human being. Duplicate. Just turn on the fucking machine, turn the vibration up. There you go. Boom. Andrew. Yeah. No, I got this. I'm just joking.
Bada bing, bada.
You know, I mean, you want a car? Okay, let's get the frequency of the car. Let's get the frequency. Let's get the vibration of the car. Let's mix it up. Let's make it. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Think about it. This is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer.
It's a case of the analogy I would use is if you want a car, why don't we just manipulate the frequency to pop a new nice car outside your house? To get a car, you have to buy it, or you, the person making it. So you're thinking about making something. You can make a car. How do you make a car? Well, you use your thoughts. So that is how you then could make yourself a car, because you can make it with the power of your mind, the thought, in a sense of, right, I need this, I need that, and you put them things together, making a solid object.
And technically, we're not even creating anything. I mean, if you think about it, houses, cars, whatever. Yeah, they're man-made, they're put together. But the only way that we're able to do that is because God already had the thought. The thought becomes the tool that we're able to create these things with. We're not pulling this shit out of our ass. You know, every material that we use is a thought given to us. It's part of this reality. We tap into that thought and we go, oh, wow, I'm going to invent this because I just got this idea. I'm going to tap into this. Oh, wow, I just get, you know, a lot of people, you know, I won't mention any names, but they get a lot of visions when they sleep. And this is throughout history. And they do their best work because they got information through a dream on how to fix something, how to create something. Michelangelo, okay, everything with him was a dream or a cave, and, you know, information came to him. The thought is always there. The materials are here, whatever we need, but the thought was given to us. Hey, built this structure. Hey, built an automobile. Hey, built this. Hey, built that. Do you understand?
I do. But that's just what we're getting. And people were thinking, even us, we're talking about frequencies. If you think about it now, is if we're a frequency and we're a different frequency, because I don't know if it's true. I mean, I know we're all supposed to have individual fingerprints, but I think that's moved up to 2 now. Maybe 2 people in every whatever have the same, you know what I mean, have the same fingerprint. If we were all the same frequency, we should have all the same fingerprint. If we were a unique frequency, we should all have a different frequency. We'd have a different fingerprint. No, there's like a set pattern, not like a clone type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not as individual as being our own frequency should be, if that makes sense.
You know, Paul, you can look at it this way too. I mean, you look at the human body. If I were to turn you inside out and you were to turn me inside out, we have the same organs, except for your penis and my vagina. But for the most part, I mean, the product, everything is pretty much the same. The cells, the blood, the veins, everything that you could say is the same frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why doesn't that apply to everything? Why doesn't that apply to everything that we're experiencing? Why isn't everything all the same? But when it comes to the human anatomy, you know, our veins and bloods and shit like that, everything is the same.
Yes, and we then can go back to, why do we need food? If we was a frequency, why do we need to drink? Because if we're a frequency, we're vibrating. Why wouldn't we drink? Wouldn't it just go through us? Why do we need things? Because it's a vessel and it's solid and it needs these. I'm not saying, for instance, in the ancient time, did we need food? Who knows? Like I said, we have no access to that information at this present time. Some people do and would tell you, but that is, for instance, if I just said, well, I know for a fact because I've accessed my memory that in prehistoric times or whatever, we didn't need it. Well,
so the people that were here are vibrational beings that came here, and like I said, if you're into you know, that planet wherever you live where you do work on vibration, then you don't need food. So maybe they came here because they can, okay, because we're kind of structured, they can. And when they came here, they didn't need food. So people say, yeah, years ago or in the Bible, that's all, they didn't need food. Yeah, perhaps that's true, but we're not them. We don't work off of vibration. We don't work off of frequency. We're energy. In a way, I guess we could say, whatever word you want to use, I don't know. But we need food or we die. We can't breathe underwater. We will die.
And then you talk about how we talked about before about the liquid around it. It's a gas. How can we breathe through a gas and a liquid? It's so weird how similar it is. And it's a case of when we was talking about it, if frequency with frequency, why do we all see birds the same? I know this is changing now because there's things classed as man and animals, but on a whole, we see the majority of the same thing.
And the rest is our perception. The rest is what we, you know, what we believe that we see. You know, maybe I don't like that bird because it's blue, and you like it because it's blue. And I'm like, no, it's not blue. It's dark blue. You know, whatever. It's just, you know.
Yeah, and this is the type of thing is we just brainstorm. What we're trying to get out, sometimes we can't make words for it, so we have to use old analogies, old words. And if you notice, when we use words, people get triggered.
Yep, they get triggered because you know what? This is a big deal because with this it opens up a bazillion different questions. Well, why this and why that and why that? And Paul, we can get lost in this. We can get lost in trying to answer a bazillion questions for people, but that's not where I really want to go with that. You know, like I don't want to go with having to dissect every little thing and make a mathematical equation for it, blah, 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 because we're just going to go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. People need to understand it's just listening to what we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I did right. Let me just find my note.
They need
I
to.
know this is just it was in my notes when I was doing original thing before we hijacked it. And I was saying, what if heaven and hell are in us, and it's the battle between the flesh and the soul? The flesh being the hell type of thing, you know what I mean? Even it's a vessel, it's a prison, it's a cell, and the soul was, you know, the hell, you know, the heaven. And these were just some of the things I was popping in my head, and I was talking to Gloria about them. And this is just what we do on a daily basis. Is what she'll do. She'll probably message me to insult me, and then we just talk about this, or you know, what you're working on, different things, what you're doing, and then this just came from that where. We are both advocates, and people know it. We talk about frequency and vibration, and now we are going away from that because it didn't sit right. There's certain things, and when it doesn't sit right, you have to progress it and think about things. I thought you were second that way then, and things just didn't make sense. If it was all frequency, how can we be more solid? Wouldn't the table have a consciousness? If it was vibrating just like us, what is keeping the table together from falling to bits? It would have to be sentient, and you know what I mean. What you know what I mean. And so this is some of the things that we were talking about. That
Why would an atom have to be empty space?
yeah.
Why would an atom have to be empty space? And even though they're empty space, they could, they do this atomic bonding shit, right? To an electric, they have their own electrical field and do this atomic bonding shit. What's the purpose? Like, does that even make sense? Like, why would you be empty space to be nothing, but yet nothing bonds together to make something? Please stop. It hurts my brain.
Well, it is. It's all weird, isn't it? And it's like, that tail is just the same as we're like 90% junk DNA or something really, really stupid like that. It's a case of they make these talks science, so future things where they can brain indoctrinate us, they can use it. Oh, look, we found a new cell. I mean, you just look about that thing about the intersternum that we were talking about months and months ago. It's crazy. It was solid. And that is just a difference, because it's always got to me when I used to say to people, we're frequency and we're vibrating, and so at a molecular level we're doing this. Well, what's keeping us all together?
Right. And you know, I'm sorry, I had to grab my cat because every time she grabs a lizard, I want to wring her neck. So I had to save the lizard and throw him out before she ate him. But yeah, you know, I mean, you know that we are probably going to get many, many comments on people that kind of think they have the answer to everything that we're saying. Well, it's this because of this, and it's this because of that. I don't want to hear it. Don't leave a comment. I don't want to hear it. I'm not to be mean. I know what I know, and I'm not even going to read them. I know what I know, and I'm not going to, you're not going to change my mind. So for somebody else who wants all the technical bullshit that you've been taught in college, okay, by those who brainwashed you, leave it at that. I'd like to hear from the people that are open-minded, like Paul and I, that kind of always had this question going on in their mind. Well, how is this and how is that? And those are the people I want to talk to, not the ones that went to Harvard and they fucking told them how it works, because you've been lied to. Bottom line, you've been lied to. And I don't care how they can clarify it and put it into these huge, tremendous words. Bullshit.
Well, it is, because I mean, I'll say a bit more, you know, nicer. That's just how I am. But if you think about it now, when you're talking about, say, for instance, an atom or whatever, any topic you want, if that is true and that's fact and law, there should not be any research, anything that's plausible for it out there. because that is it. If that is, for instance, if that was a Y, it should be a Y. But why would the Y have something? Do you know what I mean? There's more evidence for everything else. It's, for instance, when people talk about where we live, there's so many evidence for different things. Why would it be if it was just this? The information, if it was just information on that, for instance, like that is my notepad, someone could then go and figure out more things about that notepad instead of just being a notepad. Why is it? If this is fact and this is law, there should not be other theories credible with evidence showing that is not what that is. There is another explanation. So that is what we're talking about. If, for instance, if you say, well, this is this and this and this, well, that is because the fact of you shouldn't have all this extra information. And you talk about perspective and different things. It's weird. It's, for instance, saying like, I was brought up to think like the Vatican and all that was good. Do you know what I mean? And then more you look at something, it changes your perspective. You know it's not. But if it was good, there wouldn't be all this bad evidence to show to the contrary.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. If it was for instance, like I've just said, if it was a horse, it's a horse. But then you people say, well, it evolved from a unicorn and all this and different things. If it's a horse, it's just a horse. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Well, the point is, if the information, whatever it is law, is sanctity, there should not be anything else for it, but there is. And that is the interesting thing that we're trying to get back down to, if that made sense, instead of saying, don't message me.
Yeah, right. Please, I have so many messages. But you know what? You're right. But it seems like everybody that starts to understand this and starts to ask questions, you'll see a science thing come up or a TED Talk, you know, trying to throw a monkey wrench in it, and especially TED Talk. And, you know, just, oh, well, this is the answer to this, and this is, and everybody's like, oh, okay, thanks. No, they're lying, guys. You don't need to know the mechanics of how everything works. You just need to know that it's bullshit. You need to listen to what's being told, what's being in your heart, what you feel. If you feel something is wrong, something is wrong. Something is a lie, it's a lie. Hi, John. Just saying hello. So, Paul, with that, do you want to get into some questions?
Yeah, if anyone wants to throw any questions.
All right.
All I would just emphasize on what I just meant is, for instance, we are told all these theories that these scientists make are law. Yet half the things are probably, they're not even research, you know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing, I'm talking about, how we accept what we are told.
Yeah.
For a reason, you know what I mean?
What's the big thing going around right now? Oh, they're making a simulated brain. Stop. Just people, they cannot simulate a human being. Yes, they can make a computer, they can make a robot, they can make stuff. They're not going to give it consciousness. It's going to be aware of it. It's still not going to be a soul. I don't care. It still has to be programmed. It's not going to be a soul. Bottom line. And they're not going to make a brain that stores memory, because brains do not store memory. Any questions?
Like I said, it is a lot to take in what we're trying to say. If people actually get what we're trying to say in the first place, that's just the problem. Is when you spend enough time with someone, you're sharing energy, you're sharing thought, and this is what we're trying to get at. Out, it is a thought, not a thought energy, if you want to call it. It is not a frequency or a vibration. It's thoughts. So we're sharing the same thoughts. Some of us in the chat will share same thoughts. You will feel that energy because you are supposed to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like things are meant to be to a degree, because we talk about predetermined and chapters and different things, how you just want to pronounce it. But the energy, you can share energy. And people talk about, when the make love and different things, you are sharing a life force and energy. It's not a frequency. That is why, for instance, why do we reproduce? If we just vibrating in frequency, you wouldn't need to, you're creating another solid thought.
Right.
I mean, you wouldn't, you know what I mean? What's the point of populating if you could be a frequency? You could be never, you know, you control the frequency, you could live forever. Why would you then need to have another solid, have another infant that shares your thoughts and whatever you are as a person, because they pick up your traits? And that is something that is deep, because that's how they influence us. You know what I mean? They're affecting this physical shell.
Yeah, we don't pick up each other's vibrations. We pick up each other's thought wave and the feeling behind it. And through that, you could know what a person is feeling and going through and all of that stuff. That has nothing to do with vibration. We don't, you know, some will say, oh, you know, some people vibrate at a certain level and some people don't. It's no, that's the vibration has nothing to do with it. Like
I mean, this is huge for us because we've been screaming about it for so long, and we have to admit now that we are going, well, we are, and it's thought, and we are solid, and that is why they do the things to us, because it can affect a solid. Right. What if we wasn't really, we was vibrating and we wasn't touching at a cellular level? Why would they need to do what they're doing? They could just, you know, there's no need to do this. We have to feed, and that's why they influence the food. They inject us.
Hannah has I think it's a question. I don't know what just scrolled, but as far as she asked about life or death, we were, how do I put it? First of all, we never die, because there's no such thing as dying. We are forever. And when you're not in this reality, having this experience, then you understand that you're part of everything, and everything has always been there and always will be. And there's nothing else but that everything. You're aware that you're aware. Okay. You're aware that you're aware is the best way to describe it. As far as being born, that's a term that we use. Okay. We were really never born. We were created through a thought. If you want to call that born, then we could say born. But in this reality, it's like we don't die. We never die. The experience dies. The coming out of this place that we're in, that goes away, and then sometimes we come back and do it again. But for the most part, nothing ever dies. Nothing could ever be destroyed, ever, except the vessel, because the vessel is meat and bones.
I mean, what would you say, for instance, like, what does the brain do? It's a CPU. It decodes and recodes the information, but also, obviously, it sends impulses to your body to move and different things and blah, blah. That's its job. Now, if you then go to think about if the memories are not here, where, you know, I mean, it would make sense. Why cram so much in here that, you know what I mean? It's easier for it to keep it on a portable hard drive as such that you can just access at will. Do you know what I mean? With the right, you know what I mean? So that's just another way of looking at how we were saying it. Yeah. So if there's any questions, if you can, it can be about this, it could be anything. Hopefully it'd be something about this, but we know it's a lot to get on. I mean, we were getting headaches over it, how to, firstly, just to get what we're actually talking into words that other people can talk about, because Gloria will say something and I'll understand her, even if she's not making sense, and vice versa. Well, people don't even understand me at best times, but because you're sharing that energy, you know what you are trying to get to at point.
We could speak it, but yet visually we could see what we're saying, right? Even though, hey, Rosa asked something, I think. Can you see what she said and maybe answer that? Because she said something about a bubble. So I've
gone through bubbles. They look perfectly still bubbles. Everything looks like one of those pictures on a nature calendar, like CGI inside it. So bubble, my sister has experiences as well. I mean, I talk about the thought bubble. It's just how I had to get the information out to store. For instance, that is how I originally came up with the idea of the memory being stored in water in a bubble, because I thought everything vibrated. So obviously at a molecular level, it would be a bubble. But now we know it's energy and it's stored still in the water, but it's like the Akashic records could, where we store this information, be the veil. that we talk about that's in us. We don't know about where this information is kept all around us. It's kept somewhere. You can call it the catchy records. You can call it the ether. You can call it there'd be so many names for it, but it makes sense on how we access memories, how we are getting the Mandela effect. If for instance, if the Y, the tuning fork is picking up, like we talked about before, is if I had a memory and I was ready to take a path, ready to take that new binary code that would lead me to that thought, but I had my tuning fork, which is slightly different, and I got the different memory ahead of schedule, where that's frozen, like Gloria talks about, it frozen, that memory is stored, and I already knew that. So this is where you're getting like deja vu, you're getting things that the Mandela effect has. We know it as this, because obviously that was on the left path. And then when we remember the other things, it's on the right path. And then you talk about, well, how would you get residue? Well, it's all information, it's all stored, it's all here. So even though you're getting things like residue, you're proving that there was two trains of thought. It's because everything is stored here.
Everything is thought. Yep, I agree. I agree 100%. Like I said, we haven't even touched.
Yeah, the thing we were saying, sensei, water stores memory, so does quartz. Yeah, quartz is a way of transferring the energy into a direction, because obviously it has a point, and obviously they say it's a focal point for that energy. And that is why our bones are crystal, our pineal gland is crystal, our adrenaline is crystal, our melatonin is crystal, our ears in a crystal for balance is a crystal. This is why I've researched so much into crystal, because it influences so much. A lot. They don't know what's in the center of the earth, yet they are telling us now that the center of the earth, God knows how they're telling you this from what God knows, but that's crystal now. So it's a picture like Superman, where he stores information on crystals. Water, when it's cold and frozen, is a water crystal. Everything is crystalline based because of how much energy can stored. Unfortunately, the thing that we talk about and we don't like talking about is adrenochrome. The flight or fight reflex is brought upon children to produce more adrenaline, which stores the energy. It's crystal. Adrenaline is crystal. So why would they need to drink this to stay young if it's a vibration and frequency? They need it because they are solid.
Because they're trying to, yeah, exactly, Paul. They're trying to figure out how this frequency thing works. And the way that they test it is through fear porn, doing things, terrible things to get the attention of everybody and making them get that fight or flight thing and raise their fear, because they're trying to learn how to manipulate and work off of frequency, because frequency is not our thing here. It's not. Wherever they're getting this information from, whatever species they're getting this information from, they're trying to do it. And the way they test it is through this shit that they scared the living crap out of us with, to see, if they can harness that.
I mean, Philip was just talking about it in chat. Philip Daniel Miles. Remember, Philip, this is Gloria. She wants to read. Remember, you said you do it. I'm just reminding you. She's here. You can see her on screen. Philip is an astrologer, and I did the video with him, and he was talking about astrology, the cells being like the zodiac type of thing. If you think about it now, people who don't know astrology don't know about how it can influence us. Why would it influence? Because of the energy. Because we're energy and we're thoughts, and it's so influenced and based. So yeah, Gloria reading. I just had to get it out there. I just saw his name pop up then.
Well, who were you reading? You were reading Phillips, right?
Yeah, Philip Daniel Miles is a friend of mine. I've done a video with him, and you said you'd love a reading off him.
Yeah.
I'm just reminding him. He's probably hiding now. He's probably going out the chat. No, but this is Gloria.
Hi. And you know what? Another thing too, Paul, when it comes to the crystals, they say, oh, that's new age shit, or that's witchcraft, or that's black magic, or don't look into that, or all this stuff, and they turn people away from learning. You can hold a crystal in your hand, you could feel the energy. Yeah. You could feel, depending on what crystal, whatever the size, but you could actually feel it. Is it all in your mind? I don't know. To me, it's not. To me, it's not all in my mind. I feel a big difference.
Well, that's where these things influence. And if we was if these things can have an effect, if obviously some people, they don't have an effect because of like the type of placebo effect. If you believe, because the mind is that powerful, the thought, whatever is this thought, our soul can influence and make you better just by the power of thinking. If you think this will work and it uses for you, then that's a benefit. You know what I mean? That's why I always say to people, if, for instance, we talk about these topics, if you don't believe in it, that's fair enough. But if someone believes in it and believing it helps them, you're helping the thought. Do you know what I mean? And that's how you progress and how you feel better. What's wrong with someone else feeling better over a topic, especially if you don't understand it? Just move on to the topic that doesn't, resonate for you. The energy works for you. I mean, he does some, you know what I mean? I was in his chat the other day and how he remembers all the stuff I was saying. So everyone just check out his channels, Philip Daniel Miles. He's brilliant. I've done a video with him a while ago, and we were just talking like we was about totally different things, and was like 3, 4 hours, 5 hours or something. It was crazy, and he was like, "Oh my, this is so long but so good." So this is what we're talking about. We're solid. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
And if we advocates running around with a frequency and vibration flag everywhere, everyone, it's frequency and vibration. If we can do it, and look at it for what things that didn't sit right, but because we didn't have an alternative, just brainstorm. And this is why we need people to get together to brainstorm.
Yep, they are trying so very hard. They are trying so very hard, because then if they figure that out, they could change. They could stop the aging process. Instead of last year, I read an article that they found a pill that's going to stop the age, that they found the gene, and they're going to stop the aging process, and it's going to be available to the public in 20 years. Just stop. There is no pill. There is no this. They are trying so hard to figure out a way to start using vibration and frequency.
Now, we're not saying there's no such thing as a vibrational frequency, because you can see the weapons like microwaves and different things. Do you know what I mean? If you think about it, it would make more sense now if we were solid and obviously water and crystal. If you were then shooting these types of energy at us, it would affect a medium. So that, we're not saying this. We're just saying we are solid. And what they're saying is everything in the world, everything in the universe is vibrating and is like that. Well, no, we're solid.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap it up? All right. So go see 333. I call them ripples. Yeah. Stones in the, yeah, exactly. You could say that, ripples in the water. Yeah. No noise. Just it's so difficult to put any of this in words, because I said,
yeah. And you only have to look at the ancient stuff, like the thing you said, all is atom, and then it's atom, and it's do you mean, why is the parts of the body in the Bible, in the sense of, the 12 apostles, and then you're talking Jacob's ladder is the spine and the Christos? Is people are forgetting that we are solid, and all these stuff about the flesh and different things, we're solid. So why would all these analogies be in sacred numbers that then relate to the body? Because we've all seen, we've seen all these videos about how many there's in our brain, and it matches the apostles, and it matches this, and it matches this. Why would it be? Because we're solid. It's the thought, which is could the thought be our soul or the consciousness? These are just names and titles.
Well, you know what? We talked about somebody, and I'm not going to bring up names, but we spoke about somebody named Thomas, right? That does videos, and I told you I like him. I follow his work. I enjoy his videos. And he had mentioned too, I mean, he's more into everything is a virtual reality, that the human brain doesn't exist unless somebody breaks the head open and sees that the brain is actually there, because if you don't, then there's no such thing as the brain. Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah.
Okay. The virtual reality thing, I mean, well, I mean, like, there are some truths to some things as far as it being a virtual reality, but it's not. Why don't you explain it? Because I can't. This is where I get all screwed up. We were talking about.
Well, I could picture it. See, I use analogies into things that I can understand. Now, could the virtual reality be like a hollow? No, we have to use words that's out there, because we can't put it. But picture science fiction Stargate. There are people going into holodecks. They are a solid, yet they're going into a virtual world experience, and the virtual can hurt them if they take off the parameters. They have a thing called parameters. You could have where you can actually taste things, get hurt, get killed. So what that person's trying to say is we just do not know. It's the information that's with us. Now, there is information that person's perceived to say, yeah, we are living in a holography. There will be people that say we are living in a simulation. There are people that say we live here. The information is there. Why? Because it's all thought.
Right, exactly.
You can say whatever it is. It can, it can be a bubble land. It can be virtual reality. It can be simulation like the Matrix. It can be this and this. All boils down to is we are here solid, and it's the thought. This is the shell that we're in is solid, and the soul in us, the thought, because God created us from the thought. Yeah, He did speak and it created, but He thought first. So we came before the thought. You know what I mean? The thought came before the voice.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could look at it. Yeah, you could look at it. It doesn't matter how you cut a slice of the dice. It nothing wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the thought.
Yeah.
The thought before the creation.
And that is why the attackers. Why is indoctrination work? When they could, if it was a frequency, they would just have to switch a button.
Right.
They won't need to indoctrinate us at school from early because they're impressionable. It's the thought. It's the mind.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying about Tom so-and-so. I enjoy his videos, but to him, nothing exists. That this is like a Sims game. But it can't be, because we are solid. And when you get hurt, you bleed. And you know what? You could look at it and go, well, it's a really, really advanced simulation. No, we really are solid. This is an actual place that we go to. It's taking place in our mind and his mind because he created it. Abso-freaking-lutely. But it's still a place.
I mean, Stephen Wheatler, as you know, we know Stephen.
Is he
just asked,
in the chat?
Do you think adrenochrome opens up a connection to the dark side? I'll let you answer that first.
Wait, where is he in the chat? Because I don't see it. Okay. What was his question?
Do you think adrenochrome opens up a connection to the dark side?
You can answer that. I'll answer it next because I want
to. Well, if you think about it, in a way, it would open a dark side because you were doing something that's not right. We all have ethicals, and models, and I talk about the scales in us. We know it's not wrong, but, and this is the bottom, I'm not like, even because I've done videos on it, and I don't like these people who do it. What they perceive, it's right for them. Do you understand me? So they're doing an evil thing, but to them it's right. Now, are they actually thinking this is wrong? But the end game is I want to stay young. I want to create this. Maybe we just don't know. But this is what perception is hard in things, because one person's perspective is not the same as someone else's. So what I believe to be morally wrong and evil, this guy at the side of me might think, yeah, that's okay if that happened. You know what I mean? So that is a hard thing. Like I said, we're just starting on this journey of what the thought is. But yeah, they are doing it to keep young. Why would they need to keep young? Because their vessel is solid. You know what I mean? They want to keep in power in this time around because they are all in control and they don't want to give that up. So they have to stay young.
Yeah. But they're missing the point. The connection is not trying to manipulate the thought, not trying to recreate it, not trying to take control over it so they can have longevity and all that stuff. The secret is to just accept God, creator, understand it, understand him, and things start to change. You time, like I've mentioned in other videos that I've made, time is completely different for you, for me, for this one, for that one. Some of us have the ability to slow it down, or speed it up, or whatever the case may be. And that's all through connection, through source, because there's no such thing as time. There is here, but mentally, through our connection, we are shown a way to be able to, I hate the word manipulate because it just sounds wrong, but to kind of control it a little bit more. if that makes any sense. I know that doesn't answer Steve's question, but I just wanted to jump into your question. Does anybody else have anything else? Or
I'm just looking now. Yeah, you know what I mean? We've got a good thing on this. Yeah, so it's a lot to take on, and like I said, we'll be progressing it, and hopefully we'll have different people joining us soon. Who knows? But it's really to the point that if we can look at something and say, yeah, that's not right, that didn't sit right for us, even though we promoted it, what's wrong with you guys taking a look and thinking of something totally different? Because for me, even though I was promoting it, deep down I didn't feel right. Because if we was a frequency, why can't we do this and this? Why is, do you know what I mean? There's so many things that we've mentioned, and we was like, oh my god, our heads were pounding, but it was also intense and brilliant because we just went into the zone and we bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? And it's amazing that people can do this, and they don't want the mind to grow. They don't want the consciousness to grow, and that's why they're keeping us separated.
Yeah, and you know,
it's a vessel. If you think about it, even that breaks down to, sorry, Gloria, that why do people look different? Why do people talk different? And all over this realm, why, if we are not solid or frequency and have so many different dialects? Because we are being kept apart, and using these different dialects, that's basically, if you bump into someone who doesn't speak your language, that's a straight away a barrier, because they don't want you to use your thought to pass on. That is why they created speaking. Because, you know what I mean, you can talk about how are they doing it, you know, are they in power, they got access to something. We just don't know. We're at the start of the journey, but it makes sense.
It all makes,
all I can say.
It all makes sense. It's just hard to you know, put it out there. But I think we did a pretty good job in you know, just.
And then obviously that changed, doesn't it? When you have people who can talk different languages, they are opening up barriers then.
Right, and that was for whatever reason that happened, and blah, 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 the Bible. Give me a break, guys. Yeah, that's not the instruction manual for Earth. Sorry, somebody said it was. So yeah, but if nobody else has any other questions, we are demons. Oh, we're not demons. Well, we can be. I could be a real bitch. Demons are just spirits.
Well, I wouldn't have guessed that, you know.
Yeah, we will get into the whole thing with the.
That's basically talking what we did before. We are heaven and hell.
Yeah, we'll get into the heaven and hell and you know, the afterlife and what people are experiences as far as like negative, you know, energies and stuff like that. The people who see apparitions and have contact with spirits and stuff like that. And we'll get into a little bit more about that. But for the most part, you know, me and Paul touched on that really quick too. And you have to understand, if these other entities that do exist, because we're not the only ones that God thought into creation. If you think about, we think about so many things, right, all day long. I mean, could you imagine if everything we thought about was brought into existence? Well, so
now that is it. You just hit it so much. If we are thinking like this, why would God not think the same? Because we're supposed to have him. So he's thinking all this, and that is what all these other entities can be that we talk about, because they are being thought into existence too. But their vessel, if they have one, it's not the same as this vessel.
Right. Just like our bodies are equipped to deal with the elements on this reality, this planet, and the same with, you know, other planets and stuff, you know, and with them, like I said, if they're working on vibrational frequencies and stuff like that, then they know how to teleport, they know how to do all of that. So that means they do know how to tap into this one too. They do know how to come here also. So, you know, and that's why a lot of people do see ghosts, or they see whatever, you know, they have experiences. But we'll touch deeper into that on another one, because I could talk about that for hours. But if nobody else,
just like starting off the journey on what we're trying to get, and it's so hard when we can say what we want to, because, you know what I mean, we can word it that it resonates straight away. The energy, the thought resonates, and we know what we're on about. But to discuss it without using that spell, that weird indoctrinating method of putting a title, a name on something, that as soon as you say that word, you think of that object, and then that object doesn't match what we are trying to discuss, and that's what's hard. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? We are learning just like you're learning.
Yeah, and there's a lot more. And like me and Paul went back and forth for a few days, and I'm like, dude, I was mentally and physically exhausted, because even though we stopped talking, I started getting all these visions and visions and visions, and I'm like, oh, how do I even put these together? And I'm like getting into a meditative prayer, and I'm like, I need a starting point. Remember, I was telling you, Paul, I need a starting point. We have to have a starting point. What do we do? And this, I have to say, this video is very ballsy. It is. Come on, you have to admit it's very ballsy. And if Paul didn't push me the way he did, I probably would have taken maybe 3 years to even explain the first part, like the first 5 minutes of what we discussed. But he wanted to go on, and we did. And we did. But like I said, hopefully we'll have other guests, right? We're going to do another show and continue with this topic, and have another guest on whose mind is just as great, you know. And then there's another person that I'd like to get on also. She's actually really smart, and you know, we all think alike, and we kind of all share that energy and became friends. And you know, even though we're all not together, that friendship is still there somehow in here, you know. Do you agree, Paul?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, sometimes you just need to realize what the end game type of thing is. It's a case of when we fall out with people different times, and I fall out with people. It's just how sometimes you have to go that route, but it's like I said before, the information is there, and we need to talk about the information. You have to share it, and there's only certain people that really get you, isn't there? And you need them people around you. It doesn't matter what the situation.
Yeah, I agree, because for some reason, like you said, regardless of the situation, sometimes you have to put things aside and go, this is bigger. This is bigger than that. Like, together we feel stronger, you know. When
Yeah, well, that's it. Because I tried to go the route of ignore it, hide it.
You can't.
And that energy, that force, that thought will never go away. If you had that connection or whatever it is, it never goes away. Doesn't matter if you want to hide it, label it different. It doesn't go away.
No.
So instead of ignoring it, how about trying to embrace it?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And be.
Yeah, there's nothing worse. You know what I mean? People have been to hell in such. You just need this information, that energy. Because if you don't have certain energy in your life, then it affects your health. And when I've not had that energy with me, my health has gone downwards. Do you know what I mean? So you just need that, you know what I mean? You just need it. And, you know, that's just what we need to do.
Yeah. And like I said, sometimes you just have to, you know, put all the bullshit drama away and go, you know what, we're adults. And when you separate, it's like you said, we feel it. And just like I had said to you, I don't know when it was, I says, you know what, we do this research. I do my channel, you do your channel, but this feels like there's a void. Like this, where are the people that we once knew that were part of this, that we were so excited to do it? Okay, granted, we all needed to take a break once in a while, but you know, whether it be a week or two, then we would be right back at it. Like, look at this, look at that, look at that.
Oh, there definitely has been a void.
Yeah, there's a void and a sadness to it. And then you feel like, I don't know, like you just feel like even though you're doing the research and you're doing the videos and everything like that, there's still a feeling of this would be so much better if the people that I know that are like me were all together once again. Because there's not many of us out there, guys, you know, and that's why I encourage people on my channel, make friends with each other. You're not going to find many open, you know, minded people or crazy people like me, you know. I'm joking, but or like, and with Paul, I know what Paul is saying, because we had a couple of people in our circle that we care very, very, very much about, and stupid shit got in the way, and we severed, you know, friendships, and the void is there, and it, you know, and it's not the void of, oh, you know, wanting to rekindle stuff and things like that, whatever reason it was, but the addiction of the mind, the addiction of the study of the research is something that, you know, you need to fill that void. And I just hope that,
because that energy, that thought, it'll never go away. You can ignore it, and I did my best to ignore, but you can call it information. It's the energy, it's the thought.
yeah.
And that it's not, even if 50 years, if I live in 50 years, I'm not telling you how old I am, so you just have to, you know, I guess in 50 years time I would still have the same feeling, the same energy loss.
Yeah, the same energy of lost, exactly. And it has nothing to do with anything else. It's just an energy, a feeling of loss, energy loss. Paul, you put it perfectly. Not, you could put things aside, bygones be bygones, but it's that, yeah. So we'll say, you know, the only thing you can do is plant the seed, right? And hope that they come along and water. And if they don't, then it's something you go on in your life and you go, okay, fuck it. Whatever.
Right, and I'm going to pimp myself up before you go. I want to say, if anyone doesn't know who I am, obviously I'm Paul, also the Black Sheep Researcher. Please check my channel out. Ignore all the frequency stuff now and vibration. That's a load of shit. But no, you know what I mean? It still stands up. A lot of the stuff, it just needs to be retiled up, but I'm not going to do it because it's a learning experience.
And yeah, but we have no other words, Paul.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of words. So, you know, check my stuff out. Please, anyone in the chat, please, what stuff? There's not many of us, like Gloria just said, and when you lose that other thing, you can't replace it with another something else. So you know what I mean? It's a case of we have to stick together, and you just have to ride the shit out of it. Like I said, ride the storm. You're gonna have fluctuations in the energy, and this is what we're all experiencing daily. We all have it, especially if you are sensitive. If your tuning fork is sensitive, you feel everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just that I don't, like Gloria, she goes through all the ailments and different things on her channel. I keep everything bottled up. Unfortunately, I don't have it, and that's why I go to the gym to let release. But certain energy you can't release, and that's the thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we all have a connection. We all have a connection to each other, no matter what. And some of us more so than others, you know. But with that, I just want to tell you guys, please listen, take care of yourselves. All right. I know you guys are going through a lot of shit right now, although for me, the storm has stopped. I actually feel really, really good, but some are still experiencing the thirstiness, the nauseousness, the body symptoms, you know, the sleep. Well, some of you are still going through that. And like I told you in my last video, it was supposed to stop around the 11th, which for me, it stopped about the 12th, but we're going to have something between the 23rd and the 26th. I'm not really sure what that is yet, but just get ready. Wherever this is going, it's positive. We're waking up to more and more and more things, and
that's what we're trying to say as well. We're all waking up.
Yeah.
There's more people waking up because of the thought. Because of the thought. This is brilliant, and we have to embrace it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And don't fall for the fear shit. Just don't fall for any of the make-believe stuff. And I'm not saying that everything is make-believe. I'm just saying try to always keep yourself in a happy place, if not a neutral place where there's no feeling for anything, you know, like just neither good or bad, just do your best. Okay. Because we are changing. We are the veil, and okay, things are changing, and they're changing really, really fast. And it's going to change for the better, because this is what God wants. This is what he wants for us. And whoever's trying to change it or manipulate it or putting us through this, we're stronger. And we're gonna get where we're going.
Can I just interrupt you then? Major Faith Palm saying, Black Sheep Researcher, is that a Fallout Nuka-Cola poster behind you? Yes, it is. There you go.
Wait, say that again. What did he say?
He said, is that a Fallout Nuka-Cola poster behind you on the wall? There you go, so you can see it. Nuka-Cola.
Okay, that's awesome. Paul, I love you, even though you drive me crazy. Paul is like my brother. I love him. And yeah, we will.
Yeah, she said that, and she calls me rotten.
Well, our conversations are so funny in the morning, dude. You got to admit. I mean, seriously, you know. But yeah, we'll be back. I don't know. We'll discuss what we're going to do on the next video. What what we're going to touch on next. And like I said, we'll have another guest on, and it should be really good because you got some heavy hitters here. Okay, heavy hitters, and it should be pretty awesome. But okay, guys, I love you all, and I don't ask anyone to subscribe. I don't ask anyone to like my channel, like, thumbs up. I never did that before, and I'm not going to start now. If you feel you want to, go ahead. If you don't,
So she just did it.
No, I
Subliminally.
didn't. I'm not going to.
Subliminally. I don't ask people to do this, but do it.
If it resonated with you, then that's what I wanted to get out of it. And that's
I always say to people, yeah, the same. I do subscribe not because it's energy. We need it. When I'm down, if I see a good comment, that gives me fire, because I know that what I've just said hit that person, and we are riding the energy. And you know, sometimes we do feel at times I'm like this. I just don't want to do another video on. Do you know what I mean? And we need the love, the embrace of people who are going through the same, and also it resonates with them. And you're like, oh, God, and it gives you that oomph. So that's what we need, all of us. Do you know what I mean?
Feel the love from everybody in here. You have to admit, on my channel, the people that are in my chat right now, you could feel they are such beautiful souls. Every one of them. You feel it. I feel it. I'm reading them. They just make me smile. I just look at their little, things there, like their little kisses and heart. I love them all. And yeah.
Me too.
So with that, God bless all of you. Take care of yourself. Do not fall into the fear shit. Try to stay, like I said, in a neutral place, a happy place. And it's getting better, guys. It's getting better. All right. Love you all. Bye for now.
Are we still going? You have pressed the button.